Welcome. Take a seat and get comfy because we're talking hoops. This is the NBA show on Coast to Coast Sports. I'm your host, Richard Geraffo, alongside Jordan Desouza and Matthew Andujo. We've got a jam-packed show in store for you today, diving into the ongoing situation that is Joel Embiid's health, contract negotiations with an up-and-coming NBA star, and a full slate of predictions for this year's NBA awards. The 2018 season is just around the corner, and we're here to fill you in on anything and everything before the season tips off. So let's get it going on this fantastic Floral Friday. All right, guys, for our first segment today, we're talking NBA award predictions, one of the most interesting discussions that you can have all year. It fluctuates up and down, who's going to win, who's dropping out of the race. And with the NBA season just coming around the corner, I really want to get into this. We're going to talk about the awards. And the awards, just as a recap, we've got the MVP, the Rookie of the Year, the Most Improved Player, Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, and Coach of the Year. Those are the big ones that we're going to go over. And Jordan, we're going to start on the MVP. All right, This is the most valuable player in the league. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard on this one. I think this is actually some guy who he probably should have won it last year, honestly. I mean, a lot of people were on the Russell Westbrook triple-double train, but I think if you look at what Kawhi does defensively and offensively, and given the talent that he has around him, which is kind of a lack of talent, I think this is a guy that should have won MVP last year, and I think definitely will win it this coming season.
Yeah, definitely interesting. With Kawhi, do you sense a slight bias on the fact that he does score in big numbers and bunches? We saw in the Grizzlies game last year, the guy scored 20 straight in a playoff game. That was intense. That was awesome. But because a lot of his game is predicated on defense, do you think that hurts his chances a little bit?
I think it definitely hurts his chances because maybe his numbers might not be the flashiest or prettiest. I'm pretty sure he averaged maybe around like 26, like 5 and 6 last year. And that definitely doesn't look as nice as 30, 10 and 10. But I think his impact on the floor is definitely as big as those as LeBron James or Russell Westbrook or even a James Harden.
Yeah, it definitely does. And Matthew, who do you got for MVP?
I'm going with the best player on the earth, King James. He averaged 26, 8 and 8 last season. Without Isaiah Thomas this year, he's going to have to carry the load. He can't afford to sit out games because there's no other player that can put the ball on the floor and score. Isaiah Thomas is not there. J.R. Smith can score, but is he leading a team in 20 points while LeBron sits out? No.
Probably not.
So LeBron James is my pick. He's going to have great stats. I predict him to average around 32 points a game.
Wow.
Maybe 8 and 8 again, but he's going to have to pick up the scoring this year for them to be 1 or 2 seed in the East this year.
That's a hot take.
Yeah.
Truthfully,
is a lot.
that would be awesome to see somebody average 32 points. That hasn't happened in a long time. We're looking back at Kobe a few years ago, right?
The King's been putting some work in the offseason. We all seen his workout videos. He's ready.
Yeah, he definitely looks good, but my MVP pick, it's a little different from what most people would say. I've got John Wall of the Washington Wizards. And I say John Wall because last year reports are coming in that he wasn't super healthy. His knees weren't doing very well, but he still managed to carry that Washington team to a top 4 seed. He was impressive last year, and we saw him go big time in the playoffs. He averaged a solid 23 points, 10 assists, and even had 2 steals, so he's doing it on both ends. I look for a huge year from John Wall. I think he should win it because he is truly one of the 2 or 3 most valuable players, but because of how the voting goes, I don't think he's gonna fall into the top 3. I think he's going to hover around the 4 or 5, but that's my prediction. I got John Wall.
That's a very bold prediction.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
I'd love to see it happen. He's one of my favorite players, definitely.
Top 5 point guard, arguably so.
All right, well, moving right along. Now, we just talked about a bunch of guys who are established in the league. Superstars, studs, guys that'll take you to the playoffs, and then some. But now we're talking about the new guys. We're talking about rookies and who's going to win Rookie of the Year. So, Jordan, I want to start with you. Who do you got for Rookie of the Year?
This might be a little biased, but I have to go Ben Simmons just because I think he got a year off to work on his shot. And then just the size and the skill. We haven't seen that combination of size and skill really since LeBron.
No.
And then even kind of dating back to Magic. And I think he's not going to be playing on any minutes restrictions. He's got great shooters around him. I think he's going to have a really big year.
Yeah, and he grew over the offseason.
That he did.
Don't forget about that, too. Now, Matthew, who's your favorite rookie? Who are you going to win?
I'm going to be biased as well. I'm going out the kid out of Chino Hills, UCLA product, Lonzo Ball. He was a Summer League MVP, averaged around 16, 9, and 7 this Summer League, winning MVP. I think this year, he's going to have the offense. I think he's going to average a solid 12 and 10. He has the shooters. He has KCP. He has Brandon Ingram. He has Brook Lopez to come off that pick and pop. I'm expecting a big year out of him.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be fun to watch Lonzo. Went off the beaten path again a little bit with this one, but for my rookie there, I got Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz. I didn't think that he was even going to be in this race, to be honest, but then I watched the Summer League. And when you watch the Summer League, second-year guys and lottery picks are supposed to dominate. That's exactly what Donovan Mitchell did. And with the Utah Jazz, he's going to have a lot of opportunity. In the Summer League, he had 24 points a game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 4 steals, just about 4 steals. That's incredible. I think that's going to translate right away because he's going to have a lot of opportunity in Utah.
That he will.
Yeah, so moving along, we're talking the most improved player. Last year we had Giannis Antetokounmpo with a truly impressive season. Jordan, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Brandon Ingram on this one, actually. I mean, if you even have your owner saying that he expects you to score around 20 points a game, you just kind of know he's going to have a big year. I think another year for his body to really develop, put on some weight. He still has that 6'10 frame and that incredible scoring ability. So I'm definitely going to see a big year out of Brandon Ingram, especially running side by side with your guy Lonzo.
Yep.
That's going to be a tandem. And Matthew, who do you got?
I'm going to stay in the Pacific Division. I'm going with Devin Booker. You know, his rookie year, he averaged 14 points. This year, he shot up to 22. I'm expecting another big year. I think he can shoot up to around 28, 30. He's just that great of a scorer, and he's only 19, 20 years old. He's going to be scary good. Kevin Durant is calling him a player like, you need to watch out for this kid. This kid is going to be special. We remember the 70-point game against the Celtics.
That was impressive.
That was crazy.
There aren't many 20-year-olds who could find a way to put in 70 again.
That guy's crazy. He is one of the 4 or 5 guys who you can constitute as a walking bucket. He definitely is. All right, and for my most improved player, I picked this one out of necessity. It's Andre Drummond. I think we were talking about this last week. He had a really bad year last year. So if he just gets back up to what he was doing 2 years ago with 16 and 14, I think he could bump that up 17 and 14 again, maybe 18. You never know. And especially, this is going to help him a lot. If he can shoot free throws this year,
exactly.
That's going to boost his voter bias by a lot.
That'll easily get him another 4 or 5 points a game, too.
Oh, yeah. He needs to play.
Dude's a beast under the rim. You're not blocking him under the rim. No way.
Yeah, it'd be good to see him, get a little more stamina this year too, play some defense and show that he is improving all around. Because he is also having some contract negotiations coming up. So, moving on. So we're just talking about defense. We're talking Defensive Player of the Year. Got 4 or 5 guys that we really think could win it. Matthew, who do you got first for Defensive Player of the Year?
So finally, he won the Defensive Player of the Year after finishing twice. I'm going out to Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Remember that game against the Hawks where he blocked Schroeder, then he blocked Bazemore? He can guard 1 through 5. He's crazy. I remember watching a game against the Blazers in the playoffs. In a span of 15 seconds, he guarded positions 1 through 5, forcing Damian Lillard to take a tough shot and missed it. I believe that he's the best defensive player in the league, along with Kawhi. But he can guard 1 through 5. Kawhi can guard 1 through 5. It's just crazy. I think Draymond Green's going to win Defensive Player.
He's a very talented player. And Jordan, point of contention?
I'm going to go with Kawhi on this one. I think he's the greatest perimeter defender of all time.
Wow.
I'm going to put him up there with like the Scottie Pippens and even the Bruce Bowens. I think he's one of the first perimeter players to actually win Defensive Player of the Year back-to-back years in a while.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time that's happened, but I expect him to have another big year. And I think him being kind of the head of that MVP race will help his Defensive Player of the Year votes too. So I think both of those kind of go hand in hand.
Now, if he manages to win the Defensive Player of the Year again, and also, as you predict, win the MVP, that's huge.
First one since KG, was that 03, 04?
I believe so.
Wow, that would be incredible. All right, moving along. This is the first guy off the bench. This is the guy you trust. He should be a starter, but he's not because his team's too good. Who's your 6th man of the year, Jordan?
I'm going to go repeat with Eric Gordon here because I think no matter whenever he's on the floor, he's either going to be on the floor accompanied by either James Harden or Chris Paul, 2 guys who have proved to be one of the 2 best passers in the league. So I think no matter what, he's going to be on the floor with some great facilitators, and he's still going to find a way to get open.
I'm going back home to LA. I'm staying with Jordan Clarkson. He wants to start, but with the addition of bringing Caldwell Pope in, he's not going to start. Luke Walton wants him to come off that bench, lead that second unit. I think his numbers are going to be great. He averaged around 14 points a game last year. I think I can shoot up to 16, 17 because he is the main scorer on that bench. There is nobody else on the bench that can put the ball on the court and create a shot for him or others. So I think he can win 6-man. His number is going to be 6-man worthy, but it all depends if the Lakers can make some noise in the West.
Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. And for my 6th man of the year, I've got Tyler Johnson. The guy had a really good year last year. Near the middle of the year, he came into some injury problems, but when he was on the court, he was awesome. Tyler Johnson had almost 6 win shares last year when we're talking about advanced stats. That's impressive. He finished the year with 13 points a game, 4 rebounds and 3 assists, but at the midpoint of the season, he was 15, 5, and 5. And, we saw last year what the Miami Heat did. They went 30 and 11 in that second half surge. That was impressive. And one of the reasons they did that was because of the play of Tyler Johnson. Now, leading that second unit, like we've been talking about, I think he's got a big chance and a very good opportunity to show people why he's worth that big contract he got.
You're just loving the dark horses today, aren't you?
Well, yeah, it's fun. It throws a little wrinkle in.
It must be the floral shirt.
It has to be.
It's Fridays.
All right, guys. These are the maestros, the men running the show. We're talking Coach of the Year. Matthew, who do you got?
I'm going Coach Spo. Last year without Bosch, he did more with less than any other coach, leading the Miami Heat to a 41-41 record, getting 9th in the East. That 30-11 run was crazy. They were playing out of their mind. He had Dion Waiters playing like a borderline all-star.
Yeah.
Dion Waiters. He gave Dion Waiters the confidence to take the last shot. Dion Waiters believes he's the best player in the league, and that's awesome.
Yeah, that's fun to watch. You gotta love Dion.
I
Dion.
definitely think if that's a team they can keep the winning up, I could see Coach Spoelstra winning just because of their kind of like lack of talent or say star talent per se.
Yeah, definitely. And Jordan, who do you have?
I'm going to go Greg Popovich. Not really that much of a creative pick, but I just think that I just think the Spurs are going to be around that like 58 to like 61 game win mark again. And I think in the playoffs this year really showed how much a lack of talent in terms of depth they really have when Kawhi went out.
Yeah.
So I think everyone's going to kind of realize, oh, maybe he's really only got Kawhi.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of a bunch of guys, a bunch of role players. So I think they'll kind of see the lack of talent that he has, and then the fact that they're going to win 58, 60 games.
One more thing with Popovich, if he can turn Rudy Gay's career around.
That is true.
He's only made the playoffs one time, so Rudy Gay's probably going to be in the playoffs again this year, and if he could get some defense
If
out
he
of
can
him.
find a way to get Rudy Gay on a winning team and have it work, then he definitely deserves
love
Coach
it.
of the Year.
Love it.
Not many coaches have figured that one out.
Absolutely. And for my Coach of the Year, I'm going to Boston. I've got Brad Stevens. This is a big year for him.
Choice.
We know they had the #1 seed last year, and kind of a lackluster Eastern Conference, but I'd expect them to have the #1 seed again because of what Brad Stevens is going to do. For him to win this award, he's definitely going to have to develop Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think Brown's going to have to take big steps, play a lot more after they lost a lot of their key role players from last year. I think Tatum, if he can get 13, 14 points a game out of Tatum on limited minutes, I think that's a great move. And then on top of that, he's got to integrate Kyrie and Gordon Hayward.
Yeah,
that's
agree.
a challenge.
I think Brad Stevens is being asked to do a lot of things that coaches normally aren't usually asked to do. I mean, coaches are usually going to be asked to either develop talent or find a way to make sure that their talent gels together, and he's going to have to do both with Jaylen Brown, Tatum, and then finding a way to make Kyrie and Hayward work.
You could have made the case that he should have won Coach of the Year last year because no one expected Boston to be Boston last year, and they got the #1 seed in the East. So he's definitely one of the favorites this year.
Yeah, and you can never discount his inbound plays. They're great.
true.
He's the
That is
best
true.
in the league
Gotta
at
love
that. All right, well, that's going to do it for our first segment here on the NBA show on Coast to Coast. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. We're talking hoops still. This time we're talking a specific player, a player who has impressed us, a player who's disappointed us, a player who is a conundrum in the NBA. We're talking Joel Embiid. We're talking about him right now. Jordan, near and dear to your heart, so I want to save you for the second or third opinion on this. So Joel Embiid, we know that his season was ended early last year. Again, he only got to play 31 games because of another knee injury. And in the offseason, we thought that Joel would be fine. But he's not. He's still not cleared to play 5-on-5 right now, which is a deafening blow to the Sixers. And it's really, that's just a shame because he is a talent. He definitely is. And so, as Joel Embiid, as we come into this season, there's a lot riding on Joel Embiid's shoulders because he is the driving force for the Sixers. When he was on the court last year, they were great. When he was off the court, they were the Sixers, you know? Yeah, so 8 months after his latest injury, he's still not cleared. He's really not doing well with his knee, but they are taking a hyper-conservative approach, according to Jerry Colangelo. And Matthew, if Joel Embiid can't go for the first 2 or 3 months of the season, or maybe the first 1 or 2 months, is this a big blow for the Sixers?
I think if it's 1 month, it's fine. But if it's within like 2 to 5 months in that range, no. Because I feel they won't make the playoffs if they don't have Joel Embiid healthy. They have Simmons, they have Fultz, they have Covington. But is that enough in the East? Because Joel Embiid, when he was on the court, they were a playoff team last year. That last season he averaged around close to 20 points per game, 8 rebounds. He is that force. He's that heart. He's that personality they have. We've all seen him on Twitter. He's the greatest. You know, we love him.
Yeah,
So.
Joel is definitely fun. And Jordan, another interesting wrinkle to this whole situation, his contract negotiations are going on right now. If you were the Sixers, what would you do with Joel?
This is really one of the toughest decisions in basketball. I mean, if you're just looking at him, this was a big year for him. They weren't going to play him with minutes restrictions because this is his last year under contract. You want to put him out there. You want to see what he could do. Honestly, I have no idea what they're going to do. I think they're going to need. If I was to make a decision right now, it would probably be the wrong decision. But I think they're going to have to wait till later in the season to see if he is healthy. And if he is, I think you have to give him that contract because I mean, players like him don't come around every day. But if he's not able to go, I think you're going to have to let him walk.
Yeah, there is a little bit of precedent though with this. A few years ago, the Utah Jazz did not give that extension to Gordon Hayward, and he's gone now. They lost him his first year. He made the All-Star team. Now he's gone. So we could be looking at a repeat situation. But there is a reason to have hope as a Sixers fan. There's still Ben Simmons. And Ben Simmons,
still Ben Simmons.
according to head coach Brett Brown and Jerry Colangelo, he's utterly dominating. He is just killing it. Apparently, they've been working out. He looks great. He's in phenomenal shape. He's fast. He grew. If Ben Simmons turns out to be what people thought he would be last year, maybe the next LeBron, do you think that he can individually carry this team to a lower seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs? Jordan.
I think 100%. I mean, if you just look at him, the player that he is by himself with his size and his speed, there's only maybe 3 guys in the NBA who can keep up with him physically. And that's, I mean, LeBron, Kawhi, maybe Durant. And that's not even to mention all the skill that he possesses, the year he took off to work on his jump shot. So I think this guy, I mean, everyone knows how good this guy is going to be, but I don't really think they realize how truly great he's going to be and how fast he will reach that potential.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting year in the Eastern Conference, and especially for the Sixers, an up-and-coming team.
And
it's going to be exciting.
I think that the team in general has done a great job of giving him talent around him. He has 3 great shooters. He has Covington, Redick, and then Fultz, who are all guys who could space the floor, maybe even kind of mix it up and throw Dario in there, another guy who could space the floor. So they've done a really good job of setting this young kid up for success early.
If Ben Simmons is somehow able to carry this Sixers team to the playoffs, is he in the conversation for MVP?
I mean, by that standard.
Is he?
I mean, you're definitely going to have to take a look at the stats first. I mean, he's definitely one of the more important players to this team in the league. I think he definitely has some MVPs in his future, though.
Yeah,
he's crazy.
He's going to be fun to watch for a long time.
I remember watching him at LSU. He was just crazy, and I'm hearing more and more about him now, and it's just getting scary. I feel like he's going to be amazing this year. The Sixers can be pretty good, but it all depends on Embiid. So,
That it does. I think without Embiid, they're a good team. With him, they're a great team.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for our show. Might I add, great show from the two of you. That's going to do it for the NBA show here on Coast to Coast Sports. I'm Richard Geraffo alongside Jordan Desouza and Matthew Andujo. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be here next week.